When Susan Herman and I were exploring the concept of establishing an organization to promote economic development between Michigan and Israel, we decided to hold a number of meetings around the state to ascertain what kind of interest there might be. And our first meeting was in Ann Arbor. And the most eloquent speaker there was Mike Finney, who at that time was president of SPARC, Economic Development Organization in Ann Arbor, and he cited his prior experience in Rochester, where he held a similar position in working with Israel, exploring economic development. Mike has been a stalwart supporter of the organization since then, and so it's a special privilege for me to be able to introduce him today. As you heard, he is president of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, where his responsibilities include serving as Governor Rick Snyder's Economic Growth Group Executive and President and Chairman of the Michigan Strategic Fund. Under Mike's leadership, the MEDC developed Pure Michigan Business Connect, which I hope you're familiar with, one of the most innovative economic development programs in the country. PMBC provides comprehensive business development, capital access, talent enhancement, and marketing assistance to Michigan-based companies. PMBC is quickly becoming a national model for economic development. Mike.
Thanks, Chuck, and really thank you to everybody for taking the time out of your busy schedules to stop out. Pam Lippin, where's Pam? She has really been just amazing in helping us build the kind of connections that we need in order to be successful in building a very positive business relationship between Michigan and the state of Israel. And so my compliments to you, Pam, for all the efforts that you've put into helping us cultivate this relationship, and obviously we look forward to many more things to come. I should also say that there were several other members of the Israeli business community and government officials who participated on our trip. And it would probably not be appropriate for me to go too far without recognizing them. Consul General Rory Gilad, I actually talked with him a couple times in the last week. We've managed to stay very closely connected, and we're looking forward to having a very vibrant relationship with the Consul's office. And really, we'd like to see him more in Michigan. He's based in Chicago, but we want to see him more here in Michigan, which means that he has Michigan on his brain. I actually saw him this weekend on the Chuck Stokes show. I don't know if any of you watch Channel 7 Sunday morning talk shows. And I was just flipping through the channel on Sunday morning, and I saw him on there, and I immediately caught my attention. And it caused me to send him a little note of appreciation for the kind words that he was able to share. In addition to the Consul General, we also had Dennis Bernard. Most of you know Dennis. He's very active in the business community here, as an investor, commercial real estate primarily. Evan Weiner, who is literally all over the place, involved with a little bit of everything, including as the chair of the Henry Ford. Hanan List, of course, we all know Hanan. He's the chair of MIDB. Scott Kaufman, who is the CEO of the Federation, the Detroit branch of the Federation. And Scott did a phenomenal job of leading the efforts in organizing our trip to Israel. And so I want to thank Scott and his team. And of course, I mentioned Pam. So this was really an incredible group that we had an opportunity to work with in putting together the trip that we made to Israel. So Pam wanted to know, what did I learn while I was there? What was exciting? Well, I actually learned a couple words in Hebrew. I didn't learn how to say good evening, but I learned how to say good morning, or boker tov. And in fact, every morning we had the pleasure of saying good morning to each other. So I found that interesting. And so I have that as a word, or 2 words, that I'll keep with me forever. And so whenever I see any of my Israeli friends, my Jewish friends, if it's morning, I'll use boker tov. But I also had some really neat experiences. The one that was probably most compelling, and it was something that I didn't have a chance to do during prior visits, was to actually visit Yad Vashem. And if you haven't been there, if you make a trip to Israel, you must visit it's essentially the Holocaust Museum located in Israel. It's very moving. It really tells a compelling story of everything that happened. And it causes me to clearly understand why it will never happen again, right? And And so I encourage you, if you get a chance to visit it, to take a visit there. It was really compelling, and I've shared my experiences with so many friends since being back, and it was one of those things that just stood out at me. At the opposite extreme, I'm a bit of a techie. In fact, my youngest son, my boys are here with me tonight, so I'm going to force them to stand up and embarrass them. The one that has a little bit of extra hair, that's Marcus. And then the one with the really tight cut like mine is Austin. They're both juniors. One is a junior in college, the other one is a junior in high school. And so I'm really proud of my boys, and would love to have them make a trip with me at some point to Israel so they can experience what I did. But the other experience that I had is one that really draws out the techie and a little bit of a nerd in me. And in fact, my youngest son, he and his buddies, we tend to be a house where all the boys congregate. And so, as you can expect, I have 3 boys and lots of boys at our house all the time. We have a lot of holes in our walls as witnesses to boys. They like to throw stuff and punch walls and other things. And so my wife and I very carefully put pictures over the holes in the walls. And we'll fix them when we get ready to sell the house and move. But for now, if you come to my house and move a picture, you will see a hole somewhere. And so one day, my youngest son, and some of his friends were over. And we got talking a little bit about Governor Snyder and his team. And I was telling the boys, that the governor ran as a nerd, and they wanted to know if he was really a nerd or what was he like. And I said, well, he describes himself as a nerd. He's a nerd, and he's proud of it. He's a very smart guy. So I went on to talk about all the positive attributes that the governor has. And in fact, I don't know what made me say it, but I said, most of Governor Snyder's team are nerds as well. And I looked at my son and I said, I'm probably the only guy on the team who's not a nerd. And literally, my son and all of his buddies in unison started laughing. And I said, what you laughing about? And they said, Dad, you're a nerd too. So welcome to my world, where children often help bring us down to reality. But that nerd in me, that techie in me, caused me to really want to see a few things while I was in Israel. And I really want to see the Technion. And I got to tell you, what an incredible resource to have. The innovation capacity, the pipeline of innovations that's coming out of the Technion, and the impact that it's having, not just in Israel, but across the world, is pretty amazing. Hundreds of startups on an annual basis. They do roughly $100 million annually of basic and applied research. That $100 million of research converts into some amazing companies that we see. In fact, we had a chance to meet a bunch of them while we were there. One of the cool ones is a little company called Waze. Anybody know Waze? W-A-Z-E? Okay, there's a few of you who are, like I am, trying to avoid the police when we speed. Waze is an incredible navigation tool. And we had an opportunity to meet the CEO and the venture capitalist who made the initial investment, who really thought that the founders of Waze had something. And we had a chance to talk to both of them about the decision-making process, how the product was developed, and it was really just an amazing story. And then the good news is, Waze was bought out by Google for $1.1 billion the week before we got there. So it was an amazing opportunity for us to really see what that innovation capacity can convert into when you do things and you do them the right way. So that was really a highlight. We were hosted by General Motors. GM has a small R&D center there with about 20 or 30 employees and growing. They expect to get up to maybe 80 to 100 employees. And they're there because of the innovation capacity, because of the technology that's coming out of that pipeline, particularly as it relates to transportation and transportation-related technologies, smart vehicles, autonomous vehicles. It's pretty exciting, and it's exciting for us to be hosted by GM and to meet with a dozen or so companies during that visit. The other thing that I think was really exciting that I had a chance to do, in addition to Technion, we also had a chance to visit other sites. We went to the Weizmann Institute. I'm sorry, not Weizmann, we went to Hadassah Hospital, excuse me. Weizmann was a previous visit when I was there. But we had a chance to visit Hadassah and to look at some of the biotech and life sciences technologies, stem cell research, just amazing things that are going on. I'm convinced that during my lifetime, solutions will be made available to us to help fight some of the more dread diseases that we have in our society. I have a younger sister who was crippled with MS, and it just so happens that one of the therapies that they're working on is a treatment that will allow MS patients to be much more successful in being able to get themselves reestablished. So how exciting is that to know that in our lifetime, these are the kinds of things that will happen because of some of the research that's going on in stem cell. So again, it was very, very exciting part of the trip to get some look at some of the technology that's going on. And then how can you go to Israel without seeing some of the historical, biblical, religious, and other sites that are there? It's very moving. And if you haven't seen it, you've got to get there. To go to the Old City, to go to the Church of the Sepulchre, to go to Haifa and see all the different sites that are there. It's pretty amazing, and it's worth getting engaged in. So overall, we think this was an amazing trip. We signed the bilateral agreement where the state of Michigan and the state of Israel will be working together to help Israeli-based companies that are looking to get a footprint in North America and looking to begin selling goods and services into North America. We signed the bilateral agreement to work together to make that happen. And we're prepared as a part of our 2014 budget to put some resources behind it to help those companies that are interested create a soft landing here in Michigan. And we've got a number of resources that are already in place to support that. But we also know that there's a little bit more of a push that's necessary. And we will, as an organization, be moving forward to make that happen. The other thing that I think is important is I think it's important for all of you to know that the commitment that Governor Snyder and his team has made to help businesses of all types grow and prosper here in the state of Michigan. So there's 4 things I want you to remember about the MEDC, and then I'll wrap up and take any questions that you have. The 4 things is number 1, the MEDC is very focused on providing the key talent that businesses need. I can tell you, I spent most of my career in manufacturing. I ran a company that made aerospace components. And I know that the best and brightest talent was the most important thing that we could do. In fact, we chose to locate our business in Michigan because Michigan had the best and brightest engineers, the best and brightest manufacturing talent, and we wanted to take advantage of that as best we could so that our company could grow. And the good news is the company grew at a phenomenal pace during the 13 years that I was with them. And we located business after business after business that we had opportunities with here in the state of Michigan. So we are here to help you get key talent that you're going to need to grow your business. The second thing that MEDC does is that we provide access to capital. And in fact, once you get past the need for talent, you typically need access to capital, right? And most of the companies that we talked to in Israel, that was their first question. Can you help us get some of the capital that we need, some of the resources we need? And frankly, as I judge things, the talent pool is pretty healthy in Israel. So we may not need to provide as much support there as we will with capital. And so the MEDC will provide access to capital. We have a number of different programs. We provide equity, we provide debt, and we provide some grants. In terms of equity, we've got a number of programs, particularly for startups. We actually, for startups that are in the process of raising venture capital, especially at the very early stages, we have a program that will match up to $500,000 of equity capital that any company raises from a VC, assuming the company is located here in Michigan. It does have some limitations on it. We have a limited pool of dollars, and it is first come, first served, but it is a program that we're very much committed to, and we're actually putting the resources to work very effectively. At this point in time, the MEDC has a portfolio in excess of 100 companies that we've made investments in over the past several years. And so we've got a pretty good pool of companies. It really covers every industry sector, so we're not limiting it to a specific industry sector. But we are active in making equity investments in companies through our early, we call it our venture match program. The second type of capital that we provide, and it's our most robust program, it's the State Small Business Credit Initiative. It's a loan program. And we will lend up to $5 million to a company that's looking for a debt facility. Our money, again, does require some type of a private sector match, typically with a bank, but we will look to other financial institutions as well. And our grant is essentially a one-for-one match. So if you need $10 million, and you can go to a bank and raise $5 million, our program can come in to provide collateral support or participate in the loan for up to the other $5 million. It's our most active program. We're doing about 1 loan a day. So if you think about that over a year, here we are, a state organization that's going to do about 250 to 260 loans per year to small and medium-sized businesses who otherwise would not be able to raise the key capital that they need. It's a very active program. It's very solid. And the beauty of it is that we don't get in the way at all. There's no red tape to this program at all. If your bank will make the loan, the bank will do the underwriting, and then we will be supportive of the bank's underwriting. It doesn't get any simpler than that in our world. So we don't put any additional requirements on a company. We simply follow the underwriting as done by the bank. Straightforward, the State Small Business Credit Initiative. The other thing that we do is we do provide some grant dollars. Now the grant dollars are a little bit more challenging to get at, as you might expect. There's a little bit of red tape associated with it. We have some fairly tight employment expectations. We expect companies to create jobs, and we expect companies to make a fairly substantial investment when we provide them with grant dollars. We can provide up to $10 million to a given company in grant funds. Now, just to be frank, we haven't gone that high with any company yet, so don't get your eyes or your expectations set too high. But we do have the capacity to go up to $10 million for any given company, and we have a pool of about $120 million that's available to make grants for companies that are looking to grow or start up or expand in Michigan. It's a fairly straightforward process. We ask you to tell us what your staffing and your investment will be, and then on the basis of that staffing and investment, we will negotiate some kind of a grant. That grant is typically over a 1 to 3 year period, and the reason we keep it to a relatively short period of time is because we know that companies that are trying to grow, they need money now. They don't need it 5 years from now or 10 years from now, the way our old tax credit programs were set up. So we try and make the money available to companies at the very earliest time possible, typically years 1, 2, and 3. It does require you to hit certain milestones. In other words, you have to hire so many employees, you have to make certain investments, et cetera, and we will negotiate those milestones with you as well. So access to capital is the second major thing that we do. The third major thing is this really cool program that we call Pure Michigan Business Connect. And I know a number of you are familiar with it because I've talked to a lot of you about it. And I'll digress for one moment because there's a very special person that's here in the audience that you all know very well. I met her last year when I had a chance to speak at this event. Her name is Lynn Cummins. So Lynn is sitting right up here. Everybody don't know Lynn, maybe. Anytime I'm in Lynn's presence, in reality, even when I'm not in her presence, I really like to acknowledge the fact that she has been just a godsend when it comes to helping us open doors to facilitate business-to-business connections. I won't spend time talking about Lynn's background, but she's had an incredible career as an automotive executive. And she's leveraging those relationships to help businesses just like yours here in the state of Michigan via the MEDC. The good news is this is a multi-billion-dollar program. We committed to raise at least $8 billion worth of new business opportunities for Michigan-based companies a couple of years ago. We had 2 of our major companies in the state sign up to be a part of Pure Michigan Business Connect. They were DTE Energy and Consumers Energy. At the time, they both said they would buy at least $500 million worth of additional, $250 million worth of additional goods and services from Michigan-based companies. Combined, they would spend about $500 million more over a 5-year period. Fast forward 2 years, the program is working so successfully with just those 2 companies, they both increased their commitment to $1 billion each just a couple months ago. So it started off with 2 companies, $500 million. They've now increased their commitment to $2 billion combined. Now, why is that important to you? Because we know that the best way to grow a business is actually not by giving you free money, it's by helping you get business, helping you grow, helping you find that next customer, that first customer, right? That follow-on customer. And so we're helping to facilitate those connections. And in 2013, we will help facilitate a little over $1 billion. And we think we might hit about $1.5 billion of facilitated B2B activities. It's companies like Moran Ironworks that recently got a $19 million contract for Consumers Energy, right? That's a big deal for a company that's relatively small to get that level of a commitment from one of our major suppliers. Now, it's not just about DTE and consumers, by the way. We've got many companies that are participating on the buy side, and we have several hundred companies that are participating on the sell side. Just a couple weeks ago, we had one of our B2B summits at Blue Cross Blue Shield in downtown Detroit. We had a couple hundred companies there interested in selling goods and services to consumers. It's a very slick program. It's all pre-screened, pre-qualified companies. We have the large companies identify needs that they have that they're looking for Michigan companies to fill, and then we facilitate a B2B discussion. It's very straightforward stuff. It's a fun program. I love it because it really gets me connected to businesses in a way that we otherwise don't. Government and bureaucrats are not good at helping you get business. In fact, when we show up saying we're coming to help you get business, most companies want to run as fast as they can. because government is typically not there for that purpose. But in this case, it's the real deal, as my kids like to say. You can definitely find yourself in a position to get new business if you participate in Pure Michigan Business Connect. And I would encourage you to visit our website. It's puremichiganb2b.com. puremichiganb2b.com in order to register either as a buyer or a seller or both as a part of Pure Michigan Business Connect. So that's the third program. And the last thing that we do is one of the fun things that I love. Right? I love wearing my Pure Michigan paraphernalia. In fact, I probably wear more of it than anybody in our organization. I wore it the entire time we were in Israel, got lots of nice compliments. Thank you, ma'am, for the compliments. But the reality is, Pure Michigan is an incredible brand. It really touches the heart. Every place that I go, I'm sitting on airplanes, and I have people see my Pure Michigan branding, and they say, oh, I heard those wonderful commercials. And they start telling me about some experience that they had, their family members had, or someone they know, friend, otherwise, had in Michigan. You know, they talk about Sleeping Bear News. They talk about their experiences coming to the city and enjoying Jazz Fest or something else that we do in a good way. They really have good experiences. And so it's proven to be an incredible brand. And so we support tourism at a premium here in the state of Michigan. So we are, in fact, the organization that's pushing the Pure Michigan tourism brand. And we encourage all of you, while you're here to do business in the state of Michigan, take a minute to do what I did when I was in Israel. Take a minute to learn a little bit more about the location that you're in. Michigan has an incredibly proud history. We have some incredible sites, whether it's art, culture, recreation, hunting, fishing, golf, you name it. If you like to do it, it's available to you here in the state of Michigan. You've got to take a minute to experience all that Michigan has to offer as a part of our Travel Michigan, our tourism campaign. So those are the things that we do. MEDC's job is pretty simple. It's talent, it's capital, it's business-to-business connections, and then it's supporting the Pure Michigan brand. But we do those things with a great degree of complexity, as most governmental and bureaucratic things are. But we're trying to keep it simple for all of you, so you don't have too much to remember. If you need talent, we might be able to help. If you need capital, we might be able to help. If you're looking for a new business opportunity, we might be able to help. And if you're looking to have a great experience enjoying something that Michigan has to offer, whether it's arts, culture, recreation, major or minor sporting events, hunting, fishing, and I can go on, we can help. So I trust that your experiences here in Michigan have been good. Hopefully you'll identify some business opportunities, and hopefully we will have an opportunity to work with you to get yourselves established and to grow here in the state of Michigan. For those of you who are Michiganders and you've been doing business here for quite a while, please connect with us in a deeper way so that we can help you grow and prosper here in the state of Michigan. On behalf of Governor Snyder and the rest of our team,